Welcome to Photomikes Garage, and yes, I've got another police interceptor. Man, oh man, has it ever been a long time. I hope you can hear me because it is very windy right now. You can see the wind happening. Oh, we got a rainbow right there. Nice. Anyway, due to COVID, the federal government has shut down its auction of all the police cars, but now they're open, and look right behind me. That's right there. I got a police car, 2011 Crown Vic Police Interceptor. Yes, so excited. It's been a long time. Anyway, so I'm excited to show this car to you, but first I'm gonna drive it home. It's mine now. I'm gonna drive it home, then we're gonna go around and see what I got. It's raining. Not the best day to pick up a cop car. Okay, let's do a little acceleration here. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Oh, okay. Okay, that's not bad. All right, I got the car home, and now I can take my time and just look at what I've got here, which it looks okay, but let's take a closer look. And I'm also going to point out a few issues that you can look for if you have a chance to look at the car at auction before you make a bid. In my particular case, the Canadian government says you cannot look at the car, you cannot run the car, you can't even come to the auction site before you have to bid on the car. And that's of course due to COVID-19. So it makes it incredibly risky. You're basically going by a number of photos and whatever the report says in the description, and then you got to bid on the car. So you're taking a terrible chance. So that's why every time when you pick up the car, it's like the lottery. Did I win or did I lose? Let's find out. Okay, so I'm going to evaluate the car starting at the front, do the outside, then do the inside. And of course, if you have a more enlightened auction house, if your government, whether you're in a state or federal government, if they're allowing you to look at the car, maybe start the car, then of course here's a few pointers to help you decide whether the car is worth it, whether you should bid on it or not. I do have a little bit of experience with these cars. I'm by no means a mechanic. I'm not an expert. I have some experience, so I'm going to share that with you today. All right, so we start at the front. I noticed right away the bumper fits nice. A lot of times when their cars are hit on the front, the bumpers never fit properly in this location. They're out or in. This one's good, so that means it's either been repaired well or else not had any major accidents. I can see right now that I'm going to have to replace these side marker lights. Turn signal lights, actually no, side marker lights. These are cracked, and they put tape on the bottom here to try and keep the water out. And sometimes that tape is missing, in which case you're going to get water inside. So if these are good, put some tape on yourself. These are bad, I'm going to replace them. Now if you watch an earlier video of mine, you'll notice that headlights for these Crown Vics are cheap and easy to replace. I'll put a link below to that video. Also, the side markers are cheap and easy to replace. And I'm going to make a video about how to do that soon. Okay, so this headlight is almost brand new. That's what they look like when they're brand new. Shiny, clear, smooth. So the good thing about the police departments is that they do replace items as they wear out. So even though this car is cheap, it can be maintained very well because it's maintained by the police department, and they let a lot of things go. Like you got rusty wheels here. They don't care about that too much, but the brakes, I guarantee you the brakes are going to be good. And there are ways to check the brakes, but first of all, let's finish with the front. Okay, so this car, you can see that it had a front push bar. The mounting tabs go through the bumper here and always leave a little bit of rust. This actually will come off with a little bit of scrubbing. You can actually get most of this off. This car doesn't have the license plate bracket. That's not a big deal. You can get those for $15 on eBay. And this is where the bottom bracket was mounted in for the push bar. So there's some marks here as well. That's not a big deal. Anyway, the push bars that are used up here are the satin push bars, and they don't require any hole in the bumper here. They mount right through here, so that's a better way to do it. This headlight, no good. Yellow, crazed, got to be replaced. I'll be replacing that. This side marker, also cracked, has to be replaced. The bumper mounts right here, very good. So, the front end of this car looks good. The hood lines are all good. And one of the most important things of any of these Crown Vics, especially the white ones, is that the paint peels off like there's no tomorrow. It's very rare to find a Crown Vic, especially a white one, that doesn't have peeling paint. Ford, your paint sucks. Right, so far this one has no peeling paint. I'm thinking it looks good. It's even got a little bit of shine. Not bad at all. Okay, so let's check the tires. You want to check to make sure the tread wear is even across. You also want to make sure it has good tread. Every single police car I've ever bought has had good tread on the tires. They change them regularly. I've never had one where it was almost worn out at all. So these are always good, and the tread wears even. Rusty rims don't mean a thing. Paint them yourself, easy to do. So let's check the brakes if we can. Okay, I got my flashlight and I can see that the disc is brand spanking new, and that's actually quite common. You can put your hand in there. Let's see if I can. Put your finger in there. You can feel that there's almost, well, there's no lip at all. From the wear surfaces to the top of the disc, there's no lip, which would indicate wear. So these are practically new disc, which is quite common. And I can tell from, I don't know if you can see, of course you can't see, but the space from the space where the pad is in relation to its mounting point is good. So these pads are, at least on the outside, got a lot of meat. Another common rust area is right here. From rocks being thrown up, it can chip the paint, and then sometimes you have rust here. So this is extremely minor. It's no big deal. You can touch this up with a little bit of white paint if you want, but some of them are in really bad shape. But this one, it's good. And of course, while we're at the front end, there's another important thing that you got to do if you're at auction, and that is you got to get on your hands and knees. Great. So you get on your hands and knees, and you take a look underneath here. And what you're looking at is all the radiators that this car has. It's got quite a few radiators, heavy duty stuff, all of it. You got your air conditioning condenser here, radiator. You got your regular radiator. You got your oil cooler radiator. I think there's like 3 or 4. But the oil cooler radiator can leak, and a number of the other radiators can leak. And if they do, there's going to be like a buildup of dirt and dark marks. Dark marks. You're looking for anything dark. And also a buildup of dust and dirt. That would mean that you have a leak. This one is clean. Okay, going around the outside too. Okay, also, sorry. Going around the outside, you also look for any cracks in the windshield. This one has none. Good shape. Then we go to the side door. Oh, first of all, side mirrors. Quite often these are missing the covers. Again, you can get these on eBay and they just snap right in, no problem. They're missing the covers because they had the lights here and they just take that off when it goes up to the auction. This one has the covers, that's good. I also want to make one more point about the outside of this car. They take all the decals off, all the RCMP decals, which up here in Canada stands for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. But anyway, they take out the decals of whatever car, but they always leave on the reflective tape. Reflective tape that goes all the way down the side of the car and above the doors, all the way down the side of the car. And sometimes it's missing little chunks like right here. And so you might be tempted, oh, I'll just take off this reflective tape. It's all just stuck on, I'll just peel it off. Don't do it. I've tried to do it before. I mean, I've done it before, and what happens is that you use a heat gun, you peel it off, and yes, it will peel off, but it will take little bits of white paint with it. And it's a heck of a job. So I recommend that you just leave it on. Just leave it be. Again, on the side of the car, you've got molding on the rear passenger door, but no molding on the driver's door or on the other side as well. And the reason for that is because up here in Canada, we have a large RCMP decal that goes right here. I think it's got a beaver with crossed swords or something, but anyway, we got a big decal. So they don't have the molding. So I thought that, well, that doesn't look good. You got no molding, let's make it clean. I'm gonna take off this molding. So I got my heat gun, started to pry it off. Sure enough, it's just got glue, you can scrape the glue. But when I got to here, there's a hole in the door right here. A hole this big right here. And so I had to put some tape over that hole after I took this off. So what I recommend, just like the tape, leave the molding be. Just leave it. Okay, we're at the rear wheel now. Again, check the brakes the same way you did the front. And again, this one has a little bit of a lip, but it's not too bad. That's pretty good. Oh, can you hear that? There goes a cop car now. Okay, we're still on the side. We haven't finished yet. You got to get on your knees again and take a look underneath here. One more area to check out is right there. That's the oil pan for the car. You don't want to see any large leaks there. And then we have the automatic transmission pan below that. So what you're looking for is no major leaks. A little minor leak is not a big deal, but you don't want major leaks or major oil coming out of anything back here. And that's something to look for. And of course I forgot, when you're looking into the front for the oil leaks under the radiators, also look for damage, because these cars, as you know from watching all the Hollywood movies, they go over curbs and everything else. And the damage can often be to the radiators that are right underneath the chin right here. So you want to look for damage there. And when they do go over the curb, and I speak from personal experience, not that I've driven a police car over a curb, of course, but I've had cars that have gone over curbs, and usually what happens, you get damage in the front and you get damage right here. And you get damage right here. That's the catalytic converter. You have one on each side. This is where the curb will hit as it bounces over. So if it's been over a curb, you're going to have a dented catalytic converter right there. So you got to look out for that. So what I found that sometimes you have an exhaust rattle coming from underneath the car, and often it is loose catalytic converter material inside because it's dented from going over the curb. Okay, we're at the rear of the car. We're looking for misalignment of the trunk, which on this car is fine. We're also looking for cracks or broken taillights. This one also looks pretty darn good. And a lot of the RCMP cars have an antenna right here with a hole. This one does not, which is good. It just has the holes on the top of the car, which you can find white plugs. And if I have the link, I'll put it below. White plugs that will make everything look a lot better up here with those holes. And we take a look underneath the car. Again, we're looking for even tread wear at the back as well. And usually it is good. Looking for any leaks or anything else, it is fine. This rear bumper has got all its attachment points still in good shape. That means that it hasn't been hit, or at least it's been repaired properly. And yeah, this one looks pretty good. By the way, the police cars have a true dual exhaust all the way from the engine to the back. So far I'm very happy with the paint and the body quality on this car. A few scuffs, a lot of this will come out with a little bit of polishing. A lot of the scuffs just come right out. Got a small rust spot here, a couple of holes where the Ford emblem was. You can buy a new one and just put it right back over. And oh, look what we have here. I did notice this in the pictures, and I'm fully accepting of this. This is quite a common thing. You've got they came a little bit close to some barrier or something and scraped the side of the car, and that has caused a little bit of rust. Now you're going to have to be able to sand this up and then repaint it, and it's just not worth going to a body shop to fix this. This is fairly minor, so that's a little bit of a problem with this car. So aside from that, this side of the car is rather good. No major dents or problems. Now, this car is very good, but usually you have a lot of dents and scrapes right here. Not on this door, but right on this door. So that often causes quite a bit of a problem if you want it to look good. This car is in good shape. I guess that's when they're arresting people. This is where they bang them up against the car. Something like that. All right, so far I'm rather pleased with the exterior of this car. This is actually not bad at all. So far I'm winning. But now let's take a look at the engine. One more thing. This is actually a hole that they had for the outside mounted spotlight searchlight. And they sometimes look bad. There's not much you can do about it, but in my experience, they don't leak. Although it looks like water is going to go right through into your interior, there's another rubber seal on the inside of the door. And usually they actually are well done and they don't leak. So you don't really have to worry about it. And of course, if you ever want to get an outside spotlight, you're already set. Now, if you're in an auction, don't start the engine yet. That's not the first thing you do. The first thing you do is look at the engine before you start it. Also, you got to worry about the hood struts. They're often weak, as you can see. So if you don't want to get decapitated, either bring a stick with you or someone that's going to hold it up while you look at the motor. Okay, what I've noticed, at least with the RCMP, is that they keep the engines pretty darn clean. I've seen a lot of civilian cars that are way worse than this. This is actually pretty clean, which is kind of nice. So, wow, I got a brand new battery. That's cool. So what you want to do is looking for any leaks. You want to check all the fluid levels, which you can see is right through the clear here. You can see is good. You want to also open up the cap while the vehicle is not hot, of course. And what you're looking for is any sludge. You want the liquid to be clear. And in Fords, that is kind of a reddish liquid. So yeah, this is clear. So probably no head gasket leaks. And you want to check the oil. Let's check the oil over here. Now they change the oil on a regular basis, so it's pretty rare to get really dirty oil, but I don't know if you can see, but that oil is low. It's low, okay? So there you go. This one is a little low. I'm not sure why, but that's something to be concerned about. I don't know. Okay, another thing, I've got other videos on how to look for the different things, but also you look for any rusty steering column parts. This is all exposed to the elements, so sometimes it rusts right here. I don't know if you can see where I'm shining my light. So if it's rusty, you could have a problem. This one looks not too bad. And the other thing to look out for is leaks from the plastic. Yeah, it's plastic manifold here. Sometimes you get a crack right in the front, right here or right here. Sometimes you can see a little bit of fluid leaking. That is a potential problem with these cars. However, However, the RCMP often do replace these manifolds as they get older. So this one is not leaking, so that is good. It also looks like it has a relatively new alternator, which I often see replaced. You also can check the belt and looking for any cracks, any abnormal wear. This one looks good. So everything looks good so far. All right, so the engine looks good. Let's start it up and listen to it when it starts up cold. Let's start her up. Starts up good. There's just a slight knock that goes away very quickly. Looking for any crank wobble. Make sure you keep your hands away from the belt. So you're looking for any crank wobble. That's looking good. And in this kind of weather, the RPMs come down very quickly, as you can see, as you can hear. Okay, so this is what you want to hear. No knocks from deep down low, again. But what you hear is just a little bit of clicking noise from the valve train on either head. That's perfectly normal. This engine is good. Okay, another thing you want to do while the engine's running is put it through the gears. So, old-fashioned, old-style column shift, gear shift on these things. I love it. Reverse, neutral, drive. So it goes in pretty quick. There's no unusual noises. So that's all you can do to test the transmission in these cars, because you're not allowed to drive them, so that's the best you can do. This one seems good. And of course, it has no engine lights or airbag lights or anything else. That makes this really a real good find, because sometimes you do have that and then you don't know what's wrong, and sometimes you have the airbag light. Anyway, no lights, and it's got 178,000 kilometers on this car. Remember, I'm in Canada, so we do things in kilometers. And if you want to change that to the mileage, you just press down and hold down, and it'll switch over to mileage, just like that. So now I know that it has 110,000 miles. There you go. So I would consider that pretty low mileage, wouldn't you? However, there's a trip. Oh, look at this. That's how many engine idle hours there are. In this car, 3,786. In my experience, that's not bad at all. A lot of them have 5,000. I've even had a car that had over 10,000, which is not good. So you want to keep that as low as possible. Anything below 5,000 idle hours, I think is good. Okay, so while I'm inside the car, also when the car's running, I operate everything, especially the air conditioning. You want to make sure the air conditioning is working, the radio, heater, wiper switches, headlight switches, all that kind of stuff. Everything is working in this vehicle. I always make sure I check the air conditioning, because that could be important. But I just make sure everything's working. Everything is working. This car is not too worn on the inside compared to some. All the windows do work from the driver's side control panel. And it's actually pretty damn dirty in here. I am disappointed. I am disappointed. This is really filthy, because usually they do a better job of cleaning the interior. This looks bad. This is going to take a bit of work cleaning this up. There's just coffee stains and junk everywhere around here. The seats are all stained. That's not good. The driver's side seat always has this rip. That's no big deal. But what is of more concern is the cushion. You can see that the cushion over there on the passenger side is well formed. It's even, or pretty even. This one, no, it's all lumpy. Lumpy here, a big depression here, lumpy over here. That means that the springs underneath here could be broken. And these seats are not the most comfortable to begin with. And then when you have broken springs, it's really quite uncomfortable. And unfortunately, that's what this one has. So I've been driving it, and it is uncomfortable. It'd be great if I could switch these over to Grand Marquis seats or something a little nicer from maybe another Crown Victoria. But the good thing about these seats, of course, is that they're completely and fully adjustable. Okay, let's check out the rear. Oh no. No. No, no, no. There's no rear seat. There's no rear seat. There's no rear seat. Ooh. Okay, I already knew this just from the photos. Usually there's a nice rear seat in here, not even used, or a plastic seat that they use for the prisoners, but this one has nothing. Nada, nilch. I'm gonna have to find a seat at the wrecking yard to put in here. Yeah, so that's a bit of a problem. I've also got a broken handle here, another thing I'm gonna have to get from the wrecking yard. And usually the doors don't work anyway, because prisoners, they don't want them to escape. So the window switches don't work, and the door opening mechanism doesn't work. The window switches, as I've shown in a previous video, can be easily made operational. I'll put a link below to a video where I show how to do that. But anyway, for the door locks and everything else, it's a bit more complicated. There's rods in here that the RCMP, they remove, and you have to get new ones, or you have to get old ones at the wrecker to make that operational. So that's not good. Now this particular Crown Vic has two buttons for the trunk. It has one there, which is the standard location, and it has one here just for the driver. This one only works when the car ignition is actually on. Let's see, there we go. And we open up the trunk. All right, this is good. First of all, we got a gigantic trunk, and most importantly, comes with the spare, the jack, and the hook that holds the spare up in this location right up here. This is actually a find, because most of them do not come with any spares, jacks, or anything else. Usually, I guess they don't run with that. The police don't on the street. and they usually have other equipment packaged up in here and taking up all the space, so they don't have room for the spare. So usually the auction Crown Vics do not have a spare. This one does. That is good. Sometimes the police decommissioning department puts up the police interceptor badges up here for someone to hold on to, but in this case there is nothing. Anyway, so the trunk looks good. All right, there you have it. That's an overview of the Crown Vic I just bought at auction. And overall, I think I did pretty darn good. It's in pretty good shape. The body's in good shape. Not too many scrapes, dents, or anything like that. The engine sounds great. Transmission's good. The interior is rough. I'm going to have to do a lot of cleaning. It's got a bad seat, and it's missing the back seat. So there's always some issue that you have to work on. I'm not going to discuss the price I paid for this car because that's going to vary. Wherever you are, the prices will be different from what I may have paid here. And you got to remember that when you buy the car at auction, you really are buying an unknown quantity. And so even though the price might be cheaper than the retail price for these cars, you're taking a huge risk. And so you got to appreciate that when you do bid for one of these vehicles. I think I scored on this one. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to be driving around. I'm so happy to be back in a Crown Vic. It's been a while. Yeah. Just happy to be in a police interceptor again. Anyway, so I'm sure there's quite a few things I forgot to mention in this about police interceptors, but if you have any questions, just put them down below. I'll try and answer them to the best of my limited ability. Keep that in mind. But anyway, thanks for watching Photomikes Garage. I will see you next time.